الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أنت حين تبكي هل عليه تبكي أم على نفسك يا من أخر الفرضا؟ أنت حين تنعى هل تكون أوعى أم بأفعالك تؤذي الناس والأرض؟ فالمرام الأولى للحسين بن علي إن يراك مؤمن بالكتاب موقن لم تؤخر دمعة لا تؤخر ركعة الصلاة أولى والفروض أغلى. This translates to, when you cry, do you cry for him or for yourself, the one who delays their actions? When you're going to die, are you warned, or with your actions do you desecrate the earth and its people? What Hussein most wills to see you as a believer who holds fast to the book. A tear hasn't been late, and so don't make a ruk'ah late. Salat comes first, and our religious duties are more precious. So I've started with this poem because it highlights a key point that we all seem to neglect and dismiss, and it is, why do we cry? What is amazing about Muharram is the emotional atmosphere that we feel at these majalis. So why is this emotional atmosphere so fundamental in Muharram? Our Ahlul Bayt have told us that it is very good to cry in this manner, to the point that it is narrated by Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. من ذكرنا عنده ففاقت عيناه ولو مثل جناح الذبابة غفر الله له ذنوبه ولو كانت مثل زبد البحر. This means, whom, when we are mentioned, gets even the smallest hair, the size of a fly's wing, God will forgive his sins, even the ones that are so dense like the ocean's foam. So we can see that this crying must have some hidden power. But what? Many children when we're small ask our parents at these majalis, we ask them, why do you cry? And we naturally would be inclined to say that we cry for Imam Hussein. But that's where we stop, neglecting that the matter doesn't end there. It actually goes further. So what does it actually mean to cry for the Imam? If we don't realize this, we're quite lost. I say this because many have cried because of Karbala, including the ones we curse in Dua Ashura, including Yazid and Umar ibn Sa'd. And they cried at Karbala when they were killing the Imam. But why? Why would they cry? And it is here that we must realize the danger. Because we know that crying in Muharram is so important for our Iman. Yet if we do not know why we are crying, and we cry for the same reasons as the ones who killed the Imam, we're doing quite the opposite of what we're trying to do, and that is get bara'ah, or detach from these people. And so we cannot have the same intention as them. So let's first examine their intentions, and then from that, determine what ours should and shouldn't be. They cried because they killed an innocent person. Their sadness stemmed from them seeing something wrong happen to a person. So if we cry in Muharram solely because the events were sad, that's not where we have to reach. We should be aiming further in Muharram. I'm not saying crying for the sad events is bad. In fact, it's great. But then, what's the difference between crying in Muharram or any other time in the year? Just look at some place in Africa and you'll feel that same feeling of sadness. But this is where we can use this sadness and take it a step beyond moral sadness and to spiritual sadness. Here, we have to make it clear that I'm not saying that these people are good for feeling morally sufficient emotions, nor am I saying that anyone who cries for the same reason is bad, because there are other factors that come to play. The reality is, once we add some of this spirituality to our already achieved feelings of grief, we can reach a whole new level of taqwa. If we add some ishq or love for Imam Hussein, because that's what really is lacking. This is what makes our weeping in Muharram so different than any other time of the year, because it's him, it's Ahlul Bayt who are getting hurt. This is the fact and level we should strive, to have Ahlul Bayt so intrinsically attached to our heart. And it is this fact that makes Muharram so special and different to all other sad situations. Only then can we reach the step further because of our love for Ahlul Bayt. We can get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because they're our representatives on this earth, and the ones that we have to use to save us from the dangers and traps of this world. So here we must reflect upon ourselves and determine why we feel grief in Muharram. If we're still at the first step, let's not stop there, like the evildoers did. Let's take a step further and get better attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now it's all well and good to have these emotions, but what's the point if we don't act upon them? Because if we say that anyone who feels any shred of emotion towards Ahlul Bayt is good, then all the killers in Karbala could have had some goodness in them, which is false, because they killed the Imam. So before we do that, we have to see that staying at this level 1 and not transgressing our things to actions is not going to help us. Their actions didn't weren't influenced by these emotions, and so they stayed bad. Because we can't judge someone for all their intentions, because you can have multiple. We have to judge someone by their actions, which are driven by their strongest intention, the one that will drive what they do. And we see this, so we must also let our good intentions of crying lead us to form good actions. And this is also addressed in the poem I said at the start. لا تؤخر دمعة لا تؤخر رقعة. A tear hasn't been late, so don't make a ruk'ah late. Here we're being given a practical example of how our intention and actions can not correlate. If we in this program cry true tears for the Hussein, and then the next morning can't be bothered to wake up for Fajr, then we see our intentions not driving our actions. And so it's rendered useless. We cannot only work on our intention at the expense of our wajibat and actions that we already perform. If we, let's say, read Quran every day in the morning, and then say, nah, I'm going to the majlis today, and they're reading Quran, so I'm not going to read Quran today, because I'm tired, well, that's not exactly showing your iman that you're gaining by this crime. So I ask you, this month, all of you, to strive to let our actions govern the way we act, and our intentions to drive these actions. Thank you.